Good morning. My name is April, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA APM Global User Community Webcast. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. I would now like to turn the call over to your host, Manish Parikh. Please go ahead, sir.
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Manish Parikh, your board director, one of board directors. We also have Keith Palmer, our vice president. And today, we're kind of taking a different approach on our webcast. Instead of having a presentation or a topic to discuss, we kind of make this an open floor for the community members, kind of sort of like a town hall meeting. So on the panel, I have Andrew Young and Mark Shanae from the product team. They both are directly involved with the APM product. And so, you know, I definitely appreciate their presence here to answer and answer any questions that community might have. So as a incentive for attending this webcast, we are also raffling off a $100 Amazon gift card to one lucky winner, and we will be announcing that via email after the webcast once we have the tally and a winner. So without further ado, I'll go and get started. Last week, we actually, or since the last webcast, I had sent out a questionnaire to the community asking what would they like to discuss, or any questions or concerns that they have that they would like to go ahead and bring it up in today's webcast. And fortunately, we got a few questions, so we will review those. Also, please use the Q&A on the WebEx event to answer any and all questions if you rather use that versus the audio. The audio is available as well. I think you have to press star 1, I think, to ask a question, but definitely utilize the Q&A on the webcast. So we'll go to get started. I'll move on to the first question that was asked, and I'm assuming I'll let Andrew and Mark read that and answer. The product, the question is, the product does not have a specific license policy. As I know, 2 cores equals 1 CPU is all from the license policy. However, since modern hardware trends has moved into a multi-thread CPU, it will cause lots of costs and burden to customer. So I would like to know whether CA has planned to establish more specific license policy. For your reference, IBM, for example, provides sub-capacity license policy for virtualized machines and provides PVU basis license because of different capacity of CPUs. So, Mark, Andrew, have any insight?
So this is Andrew. I'm one of the product managers on the Interscope team. So, Manish, I just want to do a sound check just to make sure that you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. So I guess a few. Let me just first talk a little about the current licensing policy. What we strive to do is to really gauge the amount of horsepower an application really needs to be able to run properly, and that's really the basis of what we want to license for our products. Now, the current licensing policy, it has been in place for a number of years, and over time we do evaluate, where the technology trends are, how customers are actually adopting various different technology stacks, et cetera. And we also speak to customers like yourselves and also our account executives and such. So we do review our licensing policies fairly regularly, and based on input like this, based on input like, questions like this, we do take those into consideration and, make various different, options available, up internally to what we want to consider for, possible changes to the licensing policy or various different ways to, adopt new licensing strategies. So, as of now, our current licensing policy has not changed, but I just want to put it out there that, we do take these things into consideration and we do evaluate them regularly. I think as you start to see some of these shifts towards these more modern types of technology stacks, we will, adopt, and adjust these licensing policies accordingly. So.
Okay, so is it safe to say that a question like this, you guys can discuss possibly with sales marketing?
Oh yeah, totally. There are, discussions that go on regularly about things like this. It's not just between product management and product marketing or sales. These are types of things that do kind of go through the appropriate channels within a company like CA. To be fair, it's not just APM. These types of discussions occur for every single product line to ensure that the licensing policies that we adopt do provide the right amount of value for our customers, and also provide them an easy way to really accommodate and adjust to these licensing policies, right? So
okay.
These are constant discussions that we do have. It doesn't mean that we constantly adjust them. It just means that we have to take the right approach when we do want to consider making any type of changes.
So can we ask as a community that if there are any changes or when the next you do a review and something comes out of it as an action item, you can post that on the community site? Let's say there's something. I'm
not quite sure I fully understood, Manish, your comment.
So, like you said, that you guys are in a constant evolution in a phase where you keep evaluating, and if there is a change in the license policy moving forward in the future, would you be able to post that on the community?
Oh yeah. There are several things that we do in such types of situations. Obviously, direct communications do go out to our field teams and our customer success teams, and those get brought forth directly to our customers. The community is also a channel where this is something that we could announce as part of that product update thread.
Right.
As these types of changes occur, and we need to have certain forums for clarifying any types of questions and such, we can certainly have this.
Yeah, because I can tell you, from experience as a customer of the product, I can definitely tell you, I'm usually the last person to find out in our organization about licensing, because it's all done above me, above my pay grade.
Yeah.
How
I
that
can see
goes,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So it would be good if that's distributed among community via a specific post, and it could be, like you said, the product update post thread we have. That would be great because people already know to go there for any kind of updates. So it would be great if you guys can post something on that thread, if there's a change. All right.
I agree.
Okay. I don't think Wong Park is attending, so I will go ahead and move on to the next question. Sorry, before I move forward, does anybody have any questions related to this question? I have one. I have another question, guys, from a Stephen Sheldon. It says, is additional intrascope, not CEM, is additional intrascope integration into CAPC being actively discussed? Okay. I guess it's different. We'll wait for that question to come afterwards. The next question is cloud basis service, especially for Wiley Intrascope. It would be very helpful if CA could provide cloud service for Wiley Intrascope. I think it would be a mutually beneficial strategy for CA and the customer also. Mark.
Hey, Manish?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, actually, go ahead, Mark. I thought I was on
Mark.
mute.
Yeah. So I'm on. So it's Mark Cheney. So in terms of a cloud service, we have announced our APM as a service capability. It's available. So we're running it in a controlled release, and we will be going GA shortly in the upcoming month. So it's certainly something that will become available as a cloud service. So our customers will be able to consume CA APM as a service. Certainly something that we are new to the game. It's a recent release. We're learning both from a hosting and support standpoint, but yes, to address our existing needs and certainly a lot of competitive pressure, we have launched an APM as a service capability. So certainly something, if you're interested in participating and working with us, please go ahead and reach out to me, and we'll put you on the list.
Okay, great. So maybe another way they could do also is go on the community site and open up a thread specifically to this questionnaire so people can post, and even you guys can post information on that as well.
Absolutely, Manish. That's a great idea. I'll take that as an action item.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Does anybody in the community have any follow-up questions to this one? I think if you have any audio questions, I think
Hey, Manish, this is Andrew. If I could just add something here. It would be, and I don't know if today's panel is the most appropriate forum for this, but I think this is a good topic of discussion, not just in a yes or no situation, do we have such a service or is this coming out or so, but also from a community perspective, this is an existing customer community. So, these are customers that have an on-premise deployment of APM and IntraScope. It'll be kind of good to understand from these organizations, what are the driving forces from each of these different organizations and the community members representing these organizations. What are the driving forces that are, allowing them to consider, an as-a-service APM to be a possible deployment option? And for such an option, what are they really looking for? So I think being close to this community and getting this kind of feedback and information for us as a product team, that would be really beneficial.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah, we're always looking for feedback around, what are some of that type of capability that you want. So as an example, how important is end user experience monitoring through either our existing CEM capability, BRTM, browser response time monitoring, or the ability to go much deeper across distributed to mainframe. So these are the types of comments or feedback, and how much visibility do you need in a SaaS-based offering in comparison to our existing on-premise offering. So it's certainly something that Andrew and I will certainly be part of a thread there on the community site. So if you can provide any feedback, that would certainly be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to start a thread and then people can provide feedback and questions. Great. Okay, thanks. We'll move on to the next question. Looks like nobody has any follow-up on this. The next question we have is, how is CA going to bring agility into the product release cycle? Are we going to see more of a Scrum methodology in release cycles?
Yeah, so I can start with that one. We have adopted Agile about over a year ago now in our APM releases. Certainly now we're starting to see our release cadence moving to a 6-month release cadence. So you'll start seeing a lot more releases. One of the things that we also going to do is our sprints are a 4-week or 6-week sprint. And ultimately what we will do is we're going to welcome our community members and customers to participate, as we did in our end of sprint demos. But certainly something that we're also looking at extending is also offering an ability for our customers to try out the latest capability in a trial environment that we're trying to set up for this upcoming 9.6 and 9.7 releases. So if that is something, again, we can start a thread on that. If that is something that is interesting to you, that you would like to, via Citrix log into a trial environment and see what we are actually producing on a sprint release, then it's certainly not only allowing us to demo as we did in the Sierra community for the last release, but also having an opportunity for customers to actually trial it out without having to download the entire capability and try it on site. If that's something that you think may be useful for you to get a hands-on experience with the product, that's certainly something that we're trying to put in place for the upcoming sprint releases.
So basically, would the customer or the community members would have to become the member of the private community? The what used to be called the Sierra?
Yeah, the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much open now?
I'm sorry, Manish?
Is that pretty much open to anyone, or is it based on putting requests only?
So the way to join the private community, there is a link where you have to sign some electronic paperwork.
Okay.
So, once you sign and approve that paperwork, you will be, part of this private community where you can participate more closely in the development of our releases. Now, a few kinks in the process, I'll be honest right now. A few of you who have started participating in this private community have noticed that once you sign that paperwork, you haven't gotten any notifications, you don't know what the next steps are, et cetera, and we apologize for that. It's a matter of various different things not really connected to each other, but when you do sign up for that community, do know that we are aware that you are part of it, and that you will have access to the whatever kind of content is available in the private community, and we're working on improving that process to be able to more effectively and more collaboratively work with those members of that private community. So we do want to have more users join this private community so they can actually see how the work is being progressed and provide that proactive feedback. I would also say that when you join this private community and start to track our progress in these releases, sometimes I do get questions about, well, I'm a consumer, I'm a customer of APM and Interscope. I would like to see the progress of the features and enhancements that I've requested, but at the same time, I also have my day job, and I really can't, spend all that much time, really tracking all the things that are going on. And that's okay. When you're part of this private community, it doesn't mean that, you have to, spend a lot of resources, time, and energy to work with us as we develop these features. Being part of this community is really more of a collaborative reach out. So you're treated as kind of an extension of the team. And as Mark mentioned, as we have these periodic end of sprint cycles, we will invite you to see demos. We will invite you, if we do have some sandboxes put out, we will invite you to kind of bang on the system, kick out the tires, and give us that feedback. But we don't expect you to be, sitting down with our engineers, every week or every day, to work hand in hand with them. So, it is a fun process. I do encourage, more and more, users to come join us in this private community. As Mark mentioned, we started this process a little over a year ago, and it was fairly effective, to be quite honest. We had several members of the community who got attached to several different features. You don't have to be, you don't have to be attached to all the features for a single release. You can be, maybe you only focus on the agent-related features, or maybe you only focus on UI-related features.
Right.
So you have that flexibility as well, and we appreciate that too. We like getting that feedback, as Mark mentioned. We try hard to work that feedback back into the product release cycles. And the more we get, the more we can really fine-tune this process. And this is also another area where it's not just APM that has progressed in this area. For those of you who are also IM customers, you've also noticed they've really gone agile as well. And for the most part, across all of CA, we really started this agile process across all the different products. So if you are customers of not just APM but other CA products as well, I'm sure you will be invited to these other Scrum teams, so to speak, as well.
So 3 things from this conversation for the community members. Number 1, on our welcome page, there is a link under the welcome message that Andrew was talking about to join the private community after you go through a bit of a paperwork. So that link is available to you guys right now. Number 2, there was a communication sent out by us to all the community members on taking a survey on the product enhancement. It was basically a survey where you were given $100 to distribute it across the features that are most important to you. So I hope people took advantage of that. Number 3, we also have a thread on our community about the product enhancement that people can put in as well. So there are 3 different ways that the community can definitely help out the product. But if for some reason, for the members, if the link to join the private community does not work, please either reach out to me or Keith or JP or the board members, or just send us an email, and we can help you out through that. Thanks, Andrew, for the answer. We'll move on to the next question. So the next question is, how are ideas reviewed by the product management team? If no other users agree with an idea over 3 months, then will it be removed? If more than 10 users agree with an idea, will it be reviewed within a month? How often are ideas reviewed? How does product management determine whether an idea will make it into the product? Very good questions. Who wants to take that, Mark or Andrew?
This is Andrew. I can start, and Mark can add additional color. These are very good questions, and there's short answers and there's long answers to each of these different questions. So within product management, Mark and I and the rest of our team members, we actually review the ideas backlog every 2 weeks, and we do try to be as proactive as we are when we do review these ideas. Proactive in the sense that when we review them, that we would provide the appropriate statuses. I don't know if you guys have seen within the ideas itself, but there are statuses that the product manager can put on these, like whether they're reviewed or whether they're committed or whether they're not going to be considered as any release or something like that. So as we review them, we take several things into consideration. One is we kind of see how popular these ideas are. It doesn't mean that we only review the most popular ideas. But the more votes on idea, the louder it speaks to us. But again, it doesn't mean that we don't review the other ideas. But it does help in providing us some proactive input as to how many customers would really like this particular enhancement or what the broader impact could be. So we do take those into consideration. And another part of this process is once we review this, we do take this back to the engineering team and we do review with them, the feasibility in adding these capabilities in a subsequent release or in upcoming releases and such like that. So if it is imminent that it's a great idea, we do want to do it, it provides a lot of value to a lot of customers, we do, put it in our backlog, and those get the appropriate ranking and priority in the backlog with respect to other enhancements and other feature priorities that we're working on, and then we eventually slot those into a specific release. So realistically, when we talk of backlogs, in this case, we're kind of working off of multiple backlogs. There's an ideas backlog, which you guys provide us with, and we review those. And then as we start to see, the feasibility and the value of adding these things into our product, then we add them into our product backlog. And then that's where we, regularly through our Agile process, we go through that backlog, we adjust the backlog, we groom the backlog, and eventually get those slotted for a subsequent release.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
And so, keep on coming. There's some great ideas in there. We have over 100 ideas. We may not be getting to all the bottom ones yet, but certainly provides a vehicle for us to understand what is important to our community, and it also gives an opportunity for other customers to develop some of these. So we are, as Andy mentioned, and you're looking at, we're putting some comments in. You're going to see some of these being in the next releases.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks. We'll move on to some questions that are on the Q&A panel. There's a question from Stephen Sheldon. I think I mentioned that accidentally earlier. He asks, is additional Interscope, not CEM, integration into CAPC being actively discussed? Any time frame?
Okay, so from a UI standpoint, and Andrew, feel free to speak up if you know anything otherwise. So we are not looking at this point in this. We haven't in 9.5. We haven't done anything, and we're not looking for anything in 9.6 to continue to consume or make available some of those Interscope metrics in CAPC. Our main effort has been around the new web UI that we've been putting together and making that information available in the new UI, and we're going to continue to enhance that in the upcoming releases. Certainly something that may be interesting in the future, but at this point, I would say most mainly in 9.6 and 7, not something that we're looking at investing a lot of energy in. So if there is a need or for specific content, please put that in Idea Vision and let our community vote for it. Certainly would like to hear from our community on that.
Yeah. Okay, great. We'll move on to the next question. It's from Junaid Wahab. What is the date of availability of 9.5, 9.6, 9.7?
Okay, great. So from a 9.5 standpoint, we are going to be released shortly, so it'll happen, probably at the end of this month, early June. But that's going to be available. After that, we have, as part of our Agile adoption, as I mentioned, we're going to have a 6-month cadence. So you can do the math from there. So starting in May, June timeframe, 6 months on, you're going to see a new release being available with the new capability that we will certainly share with our community. That's also been shared during CA World with the roadmap, and the roadmap is available and posted on our customer support online CSO site. So please take the time and go look at the roadmap if you have any questions.
Okay, great. Okay.
Now, one other thing I would point out about some of these subsequent releases, Manish, with respect to 9.6 and 9.7, we are, if you think back at, for those of you who have been, longer-term Interscope customers, think back at 8.2, eventually 9.0, 9.1. These have been 12 to 18-month release cycles. And this kind of gets back to the earlier question about, going agile, kind of creating, more frequent releases. So Mark talked about, we're starting to gear towards a 6-month release cycles. I think this is great both for us as well as for our user community. And at the same time, just to add a little more color to these releases, because these are going to be, shorter release cycles, it does also mean that, in a way, the scope of the feature sets that we do add in here are likely going to be, a smaller set of capabilities than, say, something that went out with, 9.1 or 9.0 or 9.5, right? Because, we had 18 months to do 9.1 and 9.5, so we were able to put a lot of new features in there. Obviously, we are going to keep providing new features in these subsequent releases, but, they are smaller, and they are smaller because we want to provide more frequent releases, and we also want to limit the amount of changes that are required when customers actually upgrade to these smaller releases. So in a sense, we're also trying to encourage customers to adopt these newer releases more regularly, so to speak, I guess, than, say, when they're waiting for an 18-month release. Their release cycles may tend to be longer. Their upgrade cycles may tend to be longer as well. So that's the other thing that I did want to point out about our upcoming releases.
All right. Thank you. Now we have a bit of a technical question from James Yanoda. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. He asks, we are able to see the stalls in Introscope, but how do we determine which resource is stalled? Usually, the DB does not show the SQL until it has completed. Anyone?
Yeah, it's a good question. Stalls are, as everyone knows, is the leading indicator that your responses are coming back. So ultimately, the best way in my experience to isolate what is stalling is typically once you've isolated, which agent is stalling, or trying to characterize, is this common across all application servers or just one server? You then want to find that reason of that stall. So once you've isolated it to an agent, ultimately what you want to do is do a search and try to find other elements that are stalling down that transaction path. And that will typically point you to the smoking gun, right? Understanding where within, assuming you have the right visibility within that code base that you've instrumented, what other components are classes, methods are stalling that is resulting to that, either that front end stall that may be the one that you have the threshold alert on. So that's typically how you would drill down into that technology stack, right? That agent, that code base that's being instrumented, and try to isolate where within that element, what's the bottom element that's actually causing that stall, so that you can then characterize that behavior and send that to your development team. Did that answer the question, or?
I'd like to add, Manish, if you could read, Aaron Ritter has some comments.
Yeah, so I was going to do that. On the follow-up on that, Mark, Aaron Ritter also says, if it's only showing what's the SQL after it completes, isn't that a bug?
So you're saying, okay, so I think I understand. So you're saying that the stall should also manifest itself on the normalized SQL query that we're monitoring. And yes, I do agree with that. If the stall is because of a database query, in a Python, right, somebody's making a query that's causing a long time to return and causing a stall, I do agree. Yes, that should manifest itself on that normalized query. So if that is not manifested in something in the normalized query, then yes, I agree with Aaron is stating that should be considered a bug.
Is that something that you would take away from this?
Yeah, so sorry, I don't remember his name, but if somebody could reach out either directly to us, or better yet, right, if you could open up a support kit on this, certainly, and send it to either Andrew or I. We could certainly take a look at it. But I would tend to agree that go through our support channel, but that seems to me that would be a bug in the monitoring.
Okay. Aaron, I hope that kind of helps you a little bit. If you don't mind opening up a case, and also send that question to the community email, and I will forward that on to the product support guys, to Andrew and Mark. I'll take care of that as well. I'll take that as an action item on my side. We'll move on to the next question from John. Is a complete list of features, functionalities available for review for the 9.5 release?
Do we have the release notes out yet, Andrew?
I don't believe they are ready for public consumption.
I think we are close to it. Certainly, if something when they become available, Manish, we could probably share that with the community and make that available there. Unless Andrew, you see any objections with that?
Yeah. So it really depends how much detail and what exactly we're talking about here. If we're looking at what's available in terms of the documentation, I mean those will be available upon GA, obviously. But it sounds like, if I'm interpreting this question correctly, that we're really looking at kind of a preview of the features, what's new in 9.5, and so I believe there is an upcoming webcast in this community that will go through a deeper dive of the new things that would be of interest in 9.5. So I would definitely pay attention to the upcoming webcast calendar for that information.
Yeah, and as previously mentioned, we also have the roadmap that gives you that higher level overview of some of these marquee features. So certainly we can go roadmap, and as Andrew mentioned, we will have a follow-up webcast talking about the new features.
And I did also get a note from our product marketing team that there is a preview of the new capabilities in APM 9.5 that is posted on www.serviceassurancedaily.com. If those of you have visited that site recently or visit that regularly, this is a site that is maintained by our product marketing team, so it does have a lot of news and information about our products. So it's less of a community type of a site, but it's more of an informational type of a site for that content.
Okay.
And I think Mary just pointed out that webcast for 9.5 is on June 20th.
Could you do me a favor and open Aaron Ritter's line? He's calling on an international line, and star 1 is not working for him. Aaron Ritter.
One moment, ma'am. His line is open.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Aaron, you may proceed.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, just to make it clear, the thing about the SQL, that was just a feedback from my side, the actual bug.
Right.
From someone else.
Yeah, I understood that. I reached out to James and also asked him if he was comfortable opening up a case, and I can also follow up on his request.
Perfect. I just have a few things about the idea part of the community, and as well a second thing about the community. So about the idea, I found the question from Tetsu actually quite good, because one of my requests is staying there since the beginning, and it is a very basic request: make domain XML without restart. I want that maybe. From my side, I think you should understand that all those ideas, the voting for it, that's like a politician. As soon as you have an idea which is spot on in the first line, many people will vote for it, and as soon as it's simple enough to understood, in a one going in position, like, yeah, I mean, I don't want to restart domain XML. It's like, do you want to pay less taxes? Yes, I vote for it. So that's one thing. I would find it good if you review everything. No matter how stupid the idea might be, as long you read it through, don't go with the votes. Obviously, take it as a sort of a hint. But what I want to say is, if you use that like a politician, you might get your votes. If you use it technically, make a very good. There are a few things which are in very detail described, a huge entry with very valuable arguments why you should do X, Y, Z. Many people might not even read that because it's too complicated, and I don't give even a vote for it. And then the second thing about the idea, as soon it has been reviewed, it sort of goes into in a blur state. You don't know what happens with it. You don't really have discussions about it or spreading feedback about what you think about the idea. Sometimes this happened by some of the product managers, but this is all very high level, and I don't know whether you could improve this.
Okay. This is Andrew. I agree with your feedback, Aaron. I think you know, process, well, not even process-wise, but the communication, the means of communication and collaboration when we receive these ideas and after we review them and slot these in the product backlog, how we proceed with them. It sounds like that communication is lacking, to say the least. You know, we'll certainly take that back and figure out a much better way to you know, more proactively communicate, you know, the progress of those enhancements with you.
Okay, great.
And then
go ahead.
One last thing about the community, maybe. Google is much more helpful if I want to find something. In general, with the CA homepage, any type of support, questions, and knowledge guides, and all the things like that. As soon as you want to find something, you end up trying the search tab. It doesn't work, and then you try using Google, where many things you find, but then again you have sort of hidden sections not known to Google search, and therefore you don't find it. And I have a question whether you know about the problematic of actually finding already solved questions in the community, and whether you actually try and provide a better solution, because a community is only as helpful as what you can rely on, what you have done in the past. If you answer the same thing again and again, it ends up being more annoying than useful.
Aaron, I can answer that. This is Mary, the community manager from CA. We are aware that the search is not that great with the current platform. We're going to be upgrading to a new platform in a couple months, and that should have an improved search. I also encourage people to make sure they tag their posts. A lot of people ignore the tag field when they're composing their posts, but that also helps Google index the posts better. And I do not know what the roadmap is for parsing out posts that have been resolved, but a lot of people ask, how do I mark a post as resolved, or how do I create a question? When you are composing your post, make sure if it's a question to click the mark as question box, and that will give people who reply the opportunity where it will show something on the upper right corner of their reply where you can click mark this as accepted solution. So the box has to, the person who composes it has to make sure that box of post as question is marked before anybody can resolve it. So make sure when your questions are resolved to make sure that that mark as accepted solution is clicked.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to quickly move on to the next question. With agile development more code equals more bugs. Is CA support on board to expect more support tickets? Sometimes we found a bug, but it takes forever for support to believe it's a bug, and support will be the key.
That's an interesting question, but I think it's a very valid one. So there are several things, and this starts to get a little into the weeds within our development processes. I mean, I would actually counter, you know, the natural assumption that, you know, with Agile it could, you know, generate, you know, more features more frequently and possibly lead to more bugs because of the more amount of churn in the code. I think that's a natural gravitation to that assumption. Now, one of the things that we have been doing within our own development processes is that within each sprint, we have some very stringent acceptance criteria for the story that we'll work on in each sprint. And that constitutes to what we actually consider as, you know, a definition of done. You know, I'm not going to go into all of the gory details of what that definition of done actually means, but it does include for every single sprint, you know, basically the ability to churn off and, you know, basically cut off at the end of the sprint to have some sort of deliverable product and at a level of quality that provides a deliverable version of that product at the end of each sprint. So I believe that, you know, quality-wise, our process actually will help us. And, you know, with respect to, you know, support being on board, you know, they definitely are. You know, when we create our Scrum teams and our Scrum of Scrums, you know, support is a part of that process. And so, you know, just like they are, just like we are churning out some features more frequently, they are aware of our roadmap. They are aware of our, you know, accelerated delivery schedules. They do get provided training of these newer features more frequently. So, you know, I think everything is cross-functional, right, when we deliver these solutions. So from product management to engineering to QA to performance testing to support to marketing, that, you know, we all work together cross-functionally within these Scrum of Scrums to ensure that, you know, even though we are going Agile, it's, you know, there is some order in that madness.
Thanks, guys. Are there any other questions via the phone call, either audio or any on Q&A? I think I pretty much covered everything that was on Q&A panel. Are there any audio questions?
As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, to ask an audio question, press star 1. And there are no audio questions at this time.
All right, so we have a few questions from a board member, and we also have a poll that we just put it up on the WebEx. If you please take a few minutes to go ahead and take that poll, and once the poll has been fulfilled, while the poll is being completed, a few questions that we have for the community are I'll just put them up as question number 5. Either you guys can send these to me via on the WebEx right now, or you can email it to us. We kind of want to gauge, you know, how best we can get the community involved and get more interactions going. And I will post these questions on the community as well, if you're not able to jot them down now, so you'll have them. Or I can send them out via communication to everyone.
Hey, Manish, it looks like there was one additional question that just came up.
Okay, let me go back to that. Yeah, John has a question. When will ITKO integration be available?
Okay, so there is an existing integration with ITKO, and the current integration is ITKO actually has a companion that queries our web services to get production performance characteristics of the components that we're monitoring. And then from version APM 9.1.1 onwards, we also provided an integration with ITKO Lisa test. So as tests are being run on a system that's being monitored by APM, we can bring in those test events from Lisa test so that you can visually correlate those test events with the performance characteristics of the system being monitored. So those are the two integrations that are currently available. Now, we have been working with the Lisa development team to pursue more, longer-term and forward-looking integrations as well. So, if you have certain ideas around what you would like to see, feel free to drop me a note, and those are possible conversations that we can have to build out the backlog for that integration.
Great. Okay. I think our next question is pretty common among all of our community users. Let's see. Ashish is asking, where'd it go? I just missed it. He wanted to know the GA for 9.5.
Yeah, I got it.
Mark, you want to take that one? GA for 9.5?
Yes. So GA for 9.5, as I mentioned before, is going to be end of May, early June. We don't have an official date yet, but it's certainly we're almost there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking at a couple weeks out. So we're excited about it. I'm sure you guys are excited. So those of you who have seen some of the previews and who have come to CA World, we're excited to get this out to you. So looking forward to the next few weeks.
Okay, and I'm sure you guys will post it on the product update thread on the community, right?
Oh, you better believe it.
Yep. All right, great. Thanks, guys. Yeah. I have one last question because we only have about 2 minutes left. If there is still, okay, can we use the old Microsoft SCOM with APM 9.1?
Old Microsoft SCOM with APM 9.1. So I think I'm trying to understand exactly the details of this question. So if you want to send alerts to SCOM and leverage SCOM as that top level the eventing solution. We have various ways, through our alert actions to send that information over to System Center. Now, if you're looking at other means of the integration, like actually bringing over APM information into models within System Center, we have a web services API that does access our transaction models. So there are means to get that transaction model in and tie that into System Center. If you're looking at means to integrate System Center information about the infrastructure or the Windows servers that are being monitored and take that into APM, then we'll have to leverage our Catalyst integration framework, where there is a System Center connector out there that can publish information into Catalyst, and if that information is correlated to the host that our agents are sitting on, we can bring that information in.
Okay, thanks. Well, it's noon right on the dot. I thank you all, especially to Andrew and Mark, for taking the time to to come participate in this town hall meeting with the community. I really appreciate it. And I do thank you, all the community members, to go ahead and join this. I'm really glad that the interaction we had was, and I hope that it was very productive. If you have any further questions, as you know, email caapmcommunity@gmail.com with any questions or concern. We'll hopefully see you in the next month's webcast. Thanks, Mary, for setting this up, and once again, thanks, Andrew and Mark. You guys,
you're welcome. Thank you very much.
You guys all have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This concludes today's webcast. You may now disconnect.